Good evening. It's Tuesday again, and it is the doubleheader tonight, stage 5 and 6. Stage 5 of the Dirt Racing Series is an ITT in Two Village Loop. Two Village Loop is in McCurry Islands, and we've got ourselves about 10 minutes between the first race and the second race, the good old doubleheader. Now, I have to admit, before we get into it, my computer crept out on the recording for stage 6, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get it, which is too bad, because I did alright despite the numb legs. So some background and the long intro, apologize for that. I haven't really put in a solid 20-minute effort. I did last week, which was encouraging, but was looking forward to tonight to really kind of figure out my pacing and my effort on 20 minutes. So there's the course profile, flat with a bit of a bump after the sprint. Now this sprint was, I believe, FTS or FAL, I can't remember, we'll find out in a second. I was having some frames dropped here early, my machine was struggling, so I apologize. But I started a bit slow, a bit behind the pack, but I knew that if I kept up my pace, I'd be fine. As you can see, I'm holding about 300 here in 20th place. Slow start probably didn't help because I had a lot to make up. I think if I had started a little bit more consistently, I may have had a more regular, more steady effort. So 17th place, 2 kilometers until the sprint. So it's an ITT, but there are preem points, which makes it a little tricky because you got to decide what you want to go for. Finishing points are usually worth a lot weighted in DRS, but in a race of 30 people, the preem points, in my mind, actually come out to quite a bit because your 10 points or whatever it is to get your preem is proportionally worth quite a bit. So here I am again. It's flat, conserving my energy for after the sprint where it starts to pitch up a bit. Always want to put down your higher power going uphill. I do decide I want to skip a couple wheels so I can get in position for the sprint and do something decent. Now we're all on TT bikes and there is no draft, as you can tell from the top left corner. No draft on TT, even though we're all in the same race. So, you know, you're kind of chasing rabbits, and it's a mental game to know where everyone else is. At this point, I'm feeling okay. The sprint's coming up, and I know I have to do something, and really, you know, kind of improve my position. I knew my speed would carry me through and leapfrog a couple guys. Ultimately, you know, I had my eye on the prize at the end. Now it said I got 9th in FTS, and I think I got 5th or 6th FAL, somewhere around there. So I think I got some points, despite not really trying too hard because I wanted to, like I said, gauge my effort. Now, just a little comment, you see all the guys in front of me are OTR. So there's 2 OTR teams, I think, maybe 3. It was a bit tough to distinguish. I think one team was in the black and the green, the other team was in the red and the blue, if I'm not mistaken. There's overflows and cutters. So my teammate Tony, who won last week, is up there with these guys. They're about 2 seconds ahead of me. I've got somebody a second or 2 behind me. And again, I'm just coasting here, trying to conserve my energy for when it starts to pitch up in a little bit. I'm still happy with the wattage I'm doing. I'm holding 290 after 8.5 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, up until last week, I think the best I'd done sustained power was around 260, and last week I think I did 270 something. So I really was targeting for the 20-minute effort around 280. I was hoping to stay above 280, and that was my goal. So Here we come through the village, and again, just really trying to pace my effort. My heart rate is pretty high, relative to when I was in decent shape, and that's okay. I don't mind it. It feels nice to jack my heart rate up a little bit and get the blood flowing. And this is where the road starts to pitch up a little bit. It's not, egregious. It's enough to feel it, but I figured again, it's all about pacing and maintaining a pace that I know I can sustain, resting when I can, having little surges of energy, and then resting in surges. So I was a little bit more surgy on this kind of 4, 5, 6% climb, just to make sure that I wasn't falling behind. These guys were pushing pretty hard, and kudos to them for maintaining this kind of pace. But I knew that I knew I had a good 20 minutes in me. So rest when I can, push when I can, and keep in striking distance of the top 5. And so this is the plan. We're almost done this initial kind of climb here with a bit of a plateau and then another little bump up before we start the descent. There's a small shelf before we start the descent. And so again, just staying in wheels. I know there's no draft, but you're so used to seeing the draft, you're so used to seeing the riders, you can't help but sit on their wheel and mentally just find that space where it makes sense for you. So I knew I was in decent place here. Again, my warm-up wasn't very good tonight. I felt pretty sluggish, but once I got on the pedals for this, it was much better. So just about a second behind my teammate, trying to make sure that he stays motivated. I'm trying to stay motivated as well. You can see my heart rate climbing just a little bit. I'm in the 180s now. Coming up to the flat part before the descent, which a lot of races kind of finish on this weird sprinty descent that we often get wrong. So jump up a couple wheels. There's 2 OTR guys ahead of us. Alo has been riding very strongly, so he was on a heater. And so 3 kilometers, I know it's flat, I know I can carry my speed, and I had decided at this point if I was just going to stay with Cam Rayner, I think that's his first name, I was going to stay with Rayner, try to surf his wheel, and then pass him on the downhill with a bit of a kind of surge and sit approach, and see how that kind of translates. So 2 kilometers to go, the descent starts almost now. I thought it was shorter, to be honest. I may have overcooked it a little bit in the start, but ultimately, I'm happy with how it turned out. So again, I'm with Rayner here. He's pushing high watts, but for some reason I'm making ground on him. And this is where the descent starts. And I say, okay, I'm going to do one big push, close this guy, and then see how much I can close out the next guy. So there I go, high cadence. So I close the gap on him. Once I get to him, push it again, keep my cadence high, like I'm riding outside, and try to close the next guy, but he's still got 4 seconds on me, so it's not looking good at this point. I do my best to catch him, and I do run out of runway, but I'm pretty happy with how this finished. Second place on the ITT with I think 285 watts for the race, so mission accomplished.